welcome to Board Games with Niramas. I'm Joseph, or Niramas, and I'm here today with Reko. He's here as well, on the sideline. He's checking it out. He's, of course, approving or disapproving my list. I have to check with him first. Anyhow, we're back for another KeyForge Top 10, and it's time for the House of Dis. And yeah, this is so much fun. This is the second one, of course, in the series. It's going to be 7 because it's 7 houses. And then we'll end the series with a top 7 where I rank the 7 houses. And I want to say again that you're probably not going to agree with me. And if you don't, then tell me in the comment section what cards did I miss, what cards should not be here, and so on. It's fun to have that discussion. It's so hard to pick 10 cards out of those 52, or in this case it's even more because we have the Master of cards. But I haven't included those actually. I stick to the sort of base cards there. But yeah, wow, so hard to choose, but let's just get straight into it for number 10. Number 10 is Hand of Dis. This is an action card. When you play it, you destroy a creature that is not on a flank, which means if your opponent has a bunch of creatures out on the battle line, you can just pick one in the middle that you just want to get rid of. This is a really strong card. You can get rid of one of those really nasty ones, like last episode we talked about the Khalifi Dragon for Brobnar, which is hard to get out there because you need 7 amber to play it. Well, if your opponent plays that and he's not putting it on a flank, you can just pull out Hand of Dis, get rid of it right away, which is just really demoralizing. But yeah, Hand of Dis can really save you in a lot of situations, especially I like this, that it's just destroy. It's not deal damage, it's not any conditions around it, well, except for that it has to be not on a flank. But yeah, you just get rid of a creature that you don't like, and sometimes you don't want to wipe the board. Maybe you're strong as well in the battle line. This one is a good one to just do a little sniping, just get rid of one of those nasty creatures that your opponent has. So that's my number 10, Hand of Dis. So my number 9 is an action card called Arise. And Arise is just bringing back from the dead. You play it, you choose a house, and you return each creature of that house from your discard pile. You get a chain though, but that's okay. Just one chain is not that bad. It's basically just losing one card. Anyhow, you do want to choose this, of course, if you have a bunch of disc creatures in your discard pile, because then you can play them right away. That's the best option. But there could also be situations where you're like planning for the next turn. I use this a bunch together with Untamed. They have a lot of good creatures, so I played this one, said Untamed, pulled out all those creatures from the discard pile, and the next turn I play Untamed, and I can play a bunch of them. Also, this could be good in a situation, let's say you're playing Dis and Sanctum together, and you have a bunch of knights that you were just wiped from the board or something like that, and you have the epic quests, you want to play 7 Sanctum cards at the same time, or in the same turn. Well, you can play this one before that, pick up all those creatures from Sanctum and that was killed earlier, and then on the next turn you choose Sanctum and you can get 7 out and you craft a key for no cost with the epic quest. There's a lot of usage for this. There's a lot of ways to combo this with other houses and so on, which is something that I really like. Once again, this list is mostly what I like and what I have fun with. It's not about like mathematical calculating the best way to win in KeyForge, but I think this one is a way to win because this can help you pull out some of those really good creatures that you might have lost earlier on. So Arise is my number 9. And for number 8, I think this card is so much fun. It's Color of Subordination. It's an upgrade that you don't put on your own creatures, you put it on an opponent's creature, and I like the text as well. You control this creature. That's it. And it says obey in the flavor text, which is also cool. And that's the whole thing. You control the creature, and that is for the rest of the game. I mean, until that creature dies or leaves the battlefield, of course. Then it goes, I think it goes back to the opponent's discard, though. I think, yeah, it must be. You can't put it in your own discard. I think that would be weird. But still, it's a really cool card. And it doesn't have any requirements. It doesn't have to be on the flank. It doesn't have to be damaged or anything like that. You just control it right away. And this is also a way to just take over one of those really nasty strong cards that your opponent has. Not only do you get rid of it, like you did with the Hand of Dis, but then with this one you actually take control of it, so you control it instead. And yeah, that's just so awesome. I love this one. I don't have it in that many of my decks, but I have it in a few, and I just had so much fun with it. So Color of Subordination, hard to say, is my number 8. And my number 7 is, it has to be here in the top 10. It's not that exciting in some ways, but it can save your ass, basically. So Gateway to This. You play it, you destroy each creature. Anyone. It doesn't have to be damaged, doesn't have to be on the flank or not on the flank or anything. Just destroy everything. And yeah, this is what you usually call a board wipe. You get rid of everything on the board, your own as well, and you gain 3 chains, which is kind of rough. That's not that fun, but anyhow, you really need this one at a lot of times. And I think I always want to have this one in this section of my deck, because you know, at least one, so that there's always that chance that I can just wipe the board if my opponent gets too strong on the battle line. Now, of course, there's other board wipes that doesn't give you 3 chains and so on, and there's all kinds of cards, but this one is just so simple. You just play it, get rid of everything on the board. So I think it has to be in the top 10, because yeah, it's a great card. Gateway to This, my number 7. Number 6, and number 6 is an action card called Poltergeist. Gives you 1 amber when you play it, which is nice, and then you get to use an artifact controlled by your opponent as if it were yours, and then you destroy the artifact. I mean, both of those things are just awesome. First of all, you can use this to, and there's a bunch of different annoying artifacts that your opponent might have out there that just keeps annoying you, just keeps hindering you in different ways. So getting rid of it is nice, destroying it. But then you get to use it one last time as well for yourself against your opponent, which is also awesome. So Poltergeist is a card that I really want to have in my deck at all times if possible. The really good stuff. Number 6, Poltergeist. Now, number 5. This is one that, yeah, you have to have it in a top 10 list, I think, because it's just so great. The Dominator Bubble, and the artifact that lets you, when you have an action, you use a friendly creature. It's just so nice. I mean, it's also use, so it's not, you don't have to fight. You can reap or use an action on a creature. And of course, this is a way to play a house out of turn, basically. Because when you have this one, you choose this, you activate it, and you can activate one of the creatures on the battlefield that is not this. And I always like that. That's always good. I have one deck, I think, where I have 3 of these, which is just great, because then you can just, yeah, you can get so much done in one turn. And especially I like the fact that it's use. That's really nice. You can even remove a stun. If you have a creature that is stunned from another house and you play this, you can use this to use the creature to remove the stun. Yeah, so much good uses for Dominator Bubble. That's why it's my number 5. Let's head to number 4. And number 4, it's a card that I had a hard time where to place it in the top 10. I wanted it in the top 10. Succubus, a creature with only 3 power though, but during the draw card step, your opponent reveals their hand to 1 less card. This is just great. It's like basically giving your opponent a chain every round, as long as Succubus is out there. And you can, of course, have more than 1 Succubus. If you have 2 or 3, that's just totally destroying your opponent's way to build up a hand and get a good turnout. Of course, Succubus will be targeted a lot, and that's why I sort of had a hard time placing it. Should it really be number 4? I mean, most of the time you don't get to have it out that long. But if you, let's say you have shadows as well, and you can have the Shadow Self soaking up damage, or you have Sanctum. I like Sanctum and this together, because then you can have a bunch of these giving Succubus armor or having a taunt next to it. So there's a lot of ways you can protect Succubus as well, because I think it's just great. Another card I should mention that is not on the top 10, but Ember Imp. It's one of those cards I like as well, where your opponent can only play 2 cards as long as the Ember Imp is out. But that only has 2 powers, that's why it didn't make the top 10. And also, it's really getting targeted right away. Of course, Succubus is weak against direct damage, all that. So yeah, there's argument to be made for having it lower, but I really like it. I just like the card. I like all the kind of cards that can not only damage your opponent's creatures, not only get you amber, but can sort of mess with your opponent, get into your opponent's head and just make it annoying for him or her. I like that kind of stuff. So Succubus is my number 4. And my number 3, Lash of Broken Dreams. This is a card that I always look for. If I open a new deck and there's this in the deck, I always look for is Lash of Broken Dreams in there, because wow, this has saved my yeah, so many times that I was going to lose unless I had this one. Now you can get stuck in a situation where you just keep using it every time, and finally you won't be able to stop your opponent. And the action of the artifact, I should say, is that the keys cost +3 during your opponent's next turn. So as long as you play this and you activate this, then your opponent's key will cost 9, basically, if it's nothing else is affecting it. And even if your opponent has 9 amber, it's still good, because I mean he has to pay 9 instead of 6, so he gets rid of that amber. So yeah, and this is also a good combination with a lot of stealing or capturing cards. There's a few cards that has, if your opponent has 7 amber, then this and that happens. You can steal it, you can destroy it. So having this one makes it so that your opponent is building up more than 6 amber, and then you have the chance to come in with like a bait and switch from Shadows, or like the burn the stockpile that we looked at in the last episode for Brobnar, that requires your opponent to have 7 amber, and then you can he has to lose 4, which is just awesome. So yeah, Lash of Broken Dreams, love this one. I always want to have this in my disc decks, because it's just so good. So good. I don't think I would like to have 2 of those, though. I mean, maybe just for backup. Yeah, 1 is good enough. Lash of Broken Dreams, that's my number 3. And now let's head to number 2. And number 2, and as I said before, I like cards that mess with your opponent. So maybe some of you thought that this would be my number 1. But Restringuntus is a creature with just 1 power. But when you play him, you choose a house, and your opponent cannot choose that house as long as Restringuntus is on the battlefield. If he leaves play for any reason, then you're back to normal. But yeah, this is just so much fun. You choose this, and you can say that, let's say your opponent, well, especially if I'm playing against Shadows, I think, but yeah, you can just choose one and say that you cannot choose this house as long as he's out there. Of course, your opponent is probably going to try to get rid of him as fast as possible. But yeah, he's still messing with your opponent, and if you can protect him somehow, maybe you can play that strong taunt armor creature from Sanctum the turn before, and then you play Restringuntus next to it. Yeah, there's a way to protect him. Now, if he survives 1 round and you have Brobnar, or you have that upgrade that I can't recall the name of now, but adds 5 power, then you can add that to him in the next round as well. So Restringuntus is just so awesome. I love the artwork here as well. He's just such a nasty demon, and he's just messing with you. Now, there's some situations here. If you I mean, in theory, I haven't seen this. I don't have a deck with more than 1 of these. But if you would have 3 and you play them all, then you won, because then you can just say that your opponent cannot use any of his houses, and then you won the game, I guess. But unless you have 2, so really, that's just crazy. I guess tell me in the comment section, do you have 2 or 3 of these of this one in a deck? Because I mean, I haven't looked it up. I think you can have more than 1. I think so. There's some cards that I think are limited to just having 1. But I think this one, I think you can have more than 1. Also, this one together with my number 1 is also really fun. So let's take a look at my number 1. So my number 1 is the ultimate just messing with your opponent, I think, in this game. Control the Weak. It's an action card. You get an amber for playing it. And you choose, if I play this, I choose a house that you must play the next turn. And this is kind of interesting. I think from what I understand, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, it works like this. If you have this one, if you play Restringuntus, and I say that you cannot choose Brobnar, and then I play Control the Weak, and I say that you must choose Brobnar, from what I understand, you're not playing a house at all. But this is just for 1 turn, of course. So then it's my turn again, and then, yeah, if I have 1 deck with 3 or 4 of these in it, but that deck does not have Restringuntus. So I guess there could be some crazy combos here, and some people say that it's broken in some ways. There's like contradicting rules, right? One says that you can't do this, and the other says you have to do this. Tell me in the comment section if you know more about this. But from what I understand, I tried to read up a bit online. From what I understand, this one together with Restringuntus can really create sort of skip a turn event where you don't get to do anything for a turn. Except, though, if you have Omni cards already out. So that's why, like the Javelin that I talked about from Brobnar, that's why that's so awesome. Because if that one, you can kill Restringontus. It will do the damage, direct damage to him. So you can use it sort of out of turn or out of active house. And there's a bunch of different Omni cards that you might have the ability to have out there. There's also an upgrade. I can't recall which house has that, but there's an upgrade that you can put on a creature to make the creature Omni. So then you can get sort of around this thing. But yeah, control the weak. Anyhow, it's just so much fun. The basic strategy here is, of course, that if your opponent, let's say your opponent plays Untamed, he puts out a bunch of Untamed cards and all that. Then it's your turn, you play this, you do control the weak, and you say you have to play Untamed next turn. Because then you figure that probably or she probably doesn't have that many Untamed cards left in hand, right? So I've been in situations where, that deck that I have 3 or 4 of these, I've been in a situation where I sort of managed to, just a little luck of course, but I managed to have the opponent skip turns. Because I said, yeah, you have to play that same house again that you just did, and you put out a lot of cards, and then the opponent just passes because he didn't have any other card from that house in hand. And then I play Control the Weak again, and I just get to do 3 things in the turn. But of course I have to choose this every time. But yeah, Control the Weak is just such a fun card. I just love it, so that's why it's my number 1 for this. And in the next episode we'll be back with Logos, which is an awesome house as well. A lot of good cards there, and yeah, I think this is so much fun to do these top 10 lists. I hope you enjoy them as well. Please like the video if you do, and please share it with your friends and so on. And tell me in the comment section just any ideas you have for how to do these lists, to improve them or anything, or any, opinions you have, because I know that a lot of people out there are not going to agree with me. That's how this kind of list goes. Yeah, so let's go and wait for the next one. It will come in a few days. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, morning, or whenever you're watching. Take care. Bye-bye.
Be like Draco. Follow Board Games with Niramas on Facebook at BGW Niramas. Board Games with Niramas is sponsored by Alara Games in Sweden.